So today was two things. Today was a massive day in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers says, I'm staying. Russell Wilson gets traded. Everybody in my business, sports radio, was completely happy to have Aaron Rodgers. You know, if we had known about Russell Wilson, we'd be like, wait a day. So we can talk one day about the Aaron Rodgers effects. But no. So we get both in the same day. And that is one thing. The second thing is that I think, and I will let Adam decide, maybe I'm a fish. If I am a fish, I should not be in the deep end, but I am because of these sharks.
Might get swallowed.
I want to make sure the microphone gets bigger each week.
Yeah, lock it in.
Next week, I'm not sure I'm going to know what to do, but anyway. So what is going on? So
what isn't going on?
That's right. So I'm in these two FFPC drafts, Adam.
Yep.
These are $35. This is the deep end, right?
This is the deep end.
These are $35 best ball drafts in which isn't anything you do fine?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is the beginning of the ninth round. I've picked my first tight end at 8:09, Mike Gesicki.
Okay.
I have no plans to pick a second tight end this early, but guess what happens? Two things that are maybe looked at as one thing. Russell Wilson is traded to Denver, and Noah Fant goes the other way. So for Alberto Okwuegbunam, by the way, why is it so hard to say that? Albert Okwuegbunam.
I'm just going to say Alberto forever. So
I know, but Matt Schauf has it right. Like, what is so hard about this? Albert Okwuegbunam. So anyway, Fant goes to Seattle. Wilson goes to Denver. Two things, not even one. Two things that affect the landscape. I am so excited. I'm at 904. I am just hoping that he does not get picked at 903. He does not. And I cannot wait to, I'm going to tweet this. Here, welcome to the ninth round, Alberto. Welcome to the squad. And I did not get an overwhelmingly impressed reaction to that.
Do you feel, this has happened to me before, do you feel like when you're doing a slow draft, do you feel compelled to, when something like this happens, okay, how can I take advantage? I'm up next. Like, how do I take advantage of this? I think this happened quite a bit last year, although it was kind of a no-brainer when Cam Akers went down. Everybody was on the clock. Took, Darrell Henderson. Like, okay, beautiful.
Right.
I'm good to go. Do you feel sometimes on these slow drafts when news like this pops that you have to push the envelope to try to get that value on a guy like Albert Okwuegbunam?
I do not. But
Okay.
What's interesting is I think that this is sort of a normal human thing. And in terms of fantasy football, there's a negative reaction to somebody who spends up, who pays up. What you're supposed to do in life, what you're supposed to do in fantasy sports is save. You're supposed to invest in those extra draft picks. You're supposed to save your fab money. You're supposed to hold back. And we talked about this during Elijah Mitchell. If you put your money in, I think the player who sees themselves as an educated, smart, experienced player sees you as a mark, because that is not a move that anybody who has read the books, so to speak, would make. So anytime you sort of push in, I feel like you're a mark. But in this one, I want to defend it, Alberto. Like, what is the range of outcomes for him now? Is Mike a fish? Sure, I'll be a fish. Whatever. I'm 50. I'll be whatever you want. I mean, I'll be a fish. Let's just say yes. Here's Adam adjusting the Chiron. So, of course, I'll be a fish. I'll be your fish. All right? But is it not okay in the ninth round of a $35 draft on March 8th? Is it really not? If I had picked Adam Krautwurst with that pick, would people have come calling like,
Value.
look at this guy?
Value.
I mean, he is the tight end for now in Russell Wilson's offense, which is loaded. And athletically, he's great. He's been a project, but he passes the test, I think, as somebody who could be really outstanding. So, I mean, tight ends always take forever anyway. Anyway, you talk. I don't know.
Yeah, no, listen, Alberto, tight end 14, correct in that spot?
Yes.
That's a fine spot for Alberto. I would be excited for you to take. If I were you, I would have been excited to take him. He's been good when given the chance. Tight ends do take a while, but he's been fine. He's looked the part, and I think he's going to be absolutely fine. He's an underdog. He was tight end 33 before this. In FFPC, he was tight end 32. So I think, with the starting job, tight end 14 with Russell Wilson, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. I think that certainly is going to help him. And he's probably going to settle into tight end 14 to 18, 18, 19. So I think that's totally fine. You weren't going to get him coming back around there. And you can, and besides the point, you could take anybody you want in the 9th round of a $35 drafts are just to kind of mess around and have fun.
That's why I think there wasn't more. Well, that and the combination of like, who am I, are why there was not more discussion about that. Like, you could take Peter Pan in the 9th round of the FFPC $35 draft. Who even cares? But I don't know. I wasn't flexing. I was just excited. My Buffalo show was going on the air like 2 minutes later. So I put the board up like, here we go. Alberto, welcome to the 9th round. I do want people, I do want your friends to like me.
Well, listen, if you want my friends to like you, don't tell them you're drafting in a $35 draft. That's your first problem.
That's funny. All right. So should we move right to your auction at this point, or should we just move ahead to sports?
That's right. Are these fake bid dollars you're talking about? What No, I like Alberto. I think he's going to be good.
How good? Would you take in redraft right now? Would you take Albert Aquabenum? I promised I would say it at least 3 times. That's been 3 times.
Yeah.
It's not even hard. What is the hang up? It's do people think it's like comedy to say, like, I can't say it?
I don't know.
Albert Aquabenum, it's not even that hard. Would you rather have him, or in redraft, would you rather have him or Fant? That's the only question tonight is.
In redraft?
Yeah.
Albert.
That's what I'm doing, right? This $35. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. That's right.
This $35 league I'm in.
That's right.
Is this year only. So who would you rather have?
Yeah, Alberto. I think right now. I mean, who's the quarter? Seattle. I mean, we can get into it if you want right now.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
So, who is the quarterback of the Seahawks?
That's right. Who's the quarterback of the Seahawks? For those of you who don't know, Russell Wilson was traded today. Well, what was he traded for, Mike? Do we
2
know
firsts, 2 seconds, a 5th, 3 players, including Drew Lock and Noah Fant, for Wilson and a 4th, which the best thing ever. As fantasy owners, we should spend a week on how somehow a 5th and a 4th got warped into that trade. I mean, like, how
it's
does that even,
like
what is wrong with these
cap.
people?
That's a guy we're going to have to sign as a rookie that we don't have to sign now. Yeah, no, I get it. But yeah,
what is wrong with these guys?
I think everyone knows. I haven't seen anyone from a fantasy perspective to an NFL talent perspective that said that Seattle won this trade. Seattle didn't win this trade, but they're moving on. They got a nice big haul. But yeah, I think that it's incredible, and for all the people, and I was one of them, who were assuming that Denver was going to make a big splash at quarterback. We all thought and hoped it would be Rodgers. So we were taking, Judy and Sutton and Fant earlier, hope or stacking them. Sometimes I'd stack them when I took Rodgers, hoping. But those are going to be fine now. Those earlier, when you were taking these Denver skill guys ahead of ADP earlier on, that's going to work out because you're getting Russell Wilson. So, but yeah, I think the trade was really good for Denver. From a NFL perspective, that AFC West is going to be a brutal. I can't think of the last time. I haven't thought about it too much, but I can think off the top of my head of the last time a division had 3 superstar quarterbacks in it. I mean, you probably talked about on air today. Did you guys think of anything?
No, but I like that sort of stuff. I like to geek out in that area, so I'll maybe try at that or read other people who have made that effort and then comment.
Yeah.
It's great for sports fans, for football fans. It's great for Denver fans, of course. Like, you are nothing in this league without a quarterback on the high end.
Yeah,
and
correct.
Wilson is that, and Denver's been in the league for 60 years. When have they ever mattered?
John Elway,
Peyton Manning,
yeah.
today.
Yep.
Otherwise, like, it's cool. They play at altitude, orange shirts, but whatever. Like, they're in the middle. They're the Bills of the 2000s.
Yeah.
The last 2 years. I've been calling them the new Buffalo, for 3 years. They're there. They beat some teams. They lose to the better teams, and that's it. So, of course, you do this if you're Denver. Seattle, I think you can also justify it. Seattle seems to think they can win playing football in the mud. They haven't been able to do it. I think the reason they've come close is because Wilson is so good, but, they're going to put their stock in Pete Carroll at 70 and the organization over Wilson, which I think is a big mistake. So the one thing that will happen now is I'll be rooting for Wilson. And that means I'll be rooting for Denver and against Seattle, because they basically traded Russell Wilson for Jamal Adams here. And, you'd have to be a mess to do that.
Yeah, they get those pickbacks for Jamal Adams. Yeah, I don't think, listen, if you're going to do this, you're not going to just fire Pete Carroll now, but I think this might be Pete Carroll's last year. I don't know if he's in for a rebuild. I don't know if the Seahawks want him to be the guy for a rebuild. I mean, Pete Carroll, what has he ever been without a quarterback? Did he have Drew Bledsoe when he was in New England? Like, I don't even know how long ago that was, but what has he been?
Well,
ever
he didn't win there anyway.
Right. That's right. So, like, what has he ever been without, a Hall of Fame defense and Russell Wilson? So, yeah.
Adam, what are the Seahawks of the last 6 years?
Nothing.
They're the wild card. They're there.
One and
they
done.
Make it. They're on prime time a lot, and you watch Wilson, and then they go out.
Yep. And I think a lot of the decision making too, like Pete Carroll, after they threw that pass against the Patriots in the Super Bowl and lost, I think he lost a lot of his players. Like those guys on defense, the Legion of Boom was never the same after that. They had a safety get hurt, and guys just, I think they were done after that mentally. Like, how do you do that? You literally had the Super Bowl right there. And so, and he's always been, he can never run enough. Never can run enough. He's got Russell Wilson, and I think DK Metcalf already wanted out of Seattle. It'd be interesting to see, we can save this topic for Thursday, but for our Dynasty podcast, but I got an offer immediately. Deontay Johnson for DK Metcalf. I have Metcalf. I got offered Deontay Johnson. And in a month, I want to see if DK gets traded. He might go to, a team with a stud quarterback, and then no, I'm not doing that. But if Pittsburgh gets a decent QB and DK stays there, I'll go Deontay Johnson. But anyways, yeah, I think that team's in a full rebuild, which is why I think it would be a good idea to get rid of DK Metcalf.
I am all for getting rid of decaf.
Yeah, that's right. What is decaf, anyways?
But a treat for our Thursday viewers. Metcalf. If somebody offers you Deontay Johnson for Metcalf, they're trying to steal him. So put a draft pick in.
Yeah,
that they won't even notice in a counter. They'll be so excited to get a counter because you're not Mike the Fish. So you're actually a person who's thought about it, but they're confused. They just say yes. And then you get Deontay Johnson in a second next year for Metcalf, and that might be right. We'll talk about that Thursday if we can find time after Calvin Ridley.
Right.
I mean, come on with that story.
Can you?
But
yeah,
Metcalf is interesting. Albert Aquabenham is interesting. Fant is interesting. I'm not sure it's worse to be a tight end on a bad team, if that's what happens, then a lesser tight end, maybe on a team with so many targets, who knows what's going to happen. But I am here to say I would do that Alberto pick again
Absolutely.
tonight.
Now, so what do we think of these Broncos receivers? So Judy, going into this, before this trade, Judy was an underdog, pick 77 overall, wide receiver 37 on underdog, and then pick 108 on FFPC, best balls, as wide receiver 40. So obviously receivers go later in the FFPC because it's not, you don't start three of them. And then Sutton was pick 96, wide receiver 45 on underdog, and pick 127, wide receiver 48 on FFPC. I think they both go up significantly. I don't know, where do you think these guys land?
Yeah, I would agree that they both go up because, maybe not dramatically. I mean, people have sort of been buying this possibility, maybe more in the sense of Aaron Rodgers than Wilson, but a little bit of their ADP is from the speculation that they would have a better quarterback next year. I mean, what was the worst case scenario for Denver? It was to be someone different. So Judy and Sutton are both excellent players. They're both great halves in Dynasty. What happens now is, I'm going to say this after having talked about the other thing, is maybe tonight, tomorrow, there's a little bit of an overreaction to who they are. Somebody wants to impress in the room.
Yeah.
And I was trying to impress, like I'll say that in the other example. But, it's a pretty fine line. Like I'm drafting fourth in that league in my case. And so that's 8 picks down, 8 picks back. That's 16, 17 picks before I go again. You're either going to get them there or you're not going to get them. And most of us who are this is fundamental. Most of us who are drafting in March are thinking about who else we have on our 10 already other teams or 100. I mean, whatever it is. So,
yeah,
like I drafted the draft I showed today on Twitter. I had Nick Chubb and Nick Costantino from Go Bills texted me. He's like, "Oh, now you're Chubb over Gibson?" Like, look, I did Gibson the last time. You want to have some diversity and some balance. Right. So,
and that's why. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, please. I was going to say the margin is pretty small still when it comes to Sutton and Judy and where they might end up. And the difference can be about who are you playing against and who do they have already?
Yes. And to go to that running back reference, like that's why you want to kind of do like a tier-based drafting. Like you have your tiers because you don't need to, when you're in a tier, take a couple of different players because if they're all the same kind of tier, then you're not, overexposed or underexposed to players. But yeah, but like Judy, for example, I've just always loved Judy's talent, and I was excited. He was actually DraftSharks.com. He was their breakout player last year. He got hurt. It didn't work out for him, but they were probably a year early because going as wide receiver 40, going right ahead of him, Chase Claypool, Allen Robinson, Brandon Ayuk, Robert Woods, Treylon Burks, Marquise Brown, Brandon Cooks. Those are all the receivers. I would take him now ahead of all of those guys. Maybe even ahead of Adam Thielen, probably. And then you get to Big Mike Williams. But even ahead of Big Mike Williams is Darnell Mooney, Gabe Davis. Like I like Mooney, David. Like this Gabe Davis stuff is getting out of control. Like I would take Judy way up there, which would move him up, 11, 12 receiver spots and move him up 2.5 rounds. So, the value on Judy's is gone now. And like you said, someone's going to feel like they're always smart. We're going to see Judy now being taken in like the fourth round because people are just so excited. And Sutton too. Sutton maybe not in the fourth round, but you're going to get Sutton where you were getting Judy now. So I really like. And just to say, this Broncos offense is going to be sensational. Like I haven't dug into like their offensive line or anything, but it just has the feeling of Stafford to the Rams to me, like a refreshing new thing that I think everyone's just going to have a love affair with each other.
I want to talk about this, but I have to tell you what's happening just beyond the camera. What is going on over there? You have a scout's knife to cut open a piece of tape Bring it over. Bring it over. What's happening?
Come on,
So
Dad.
this is my son, Julius. He has some hot dogs from Buffalo Institution Ted's. Why are you
Julius.
cutting it open? Do you want to know what's inside? Here's what's inside.
It's already open?
Well, I just opened it with my finger. You have a switchblade.
He has a butcher
What do you
knife.
want?
It was the pen that I took my science test with.
Oh, well. How'd you do on the test? Otherwise, I don't care.
I think I got like a 96%, something
Great.
like that.
Next week's episode will be whether 96 is good.
Flexing in his Little League outfit. I love it.
I'm sorry.
No, I love it. That's great. That's great. I bring my kids down, but they'd knock everything over and just.
Well, that was about to happen. That was about to happen. I'm not sure where we are. Judy.
We were comparing. I was comparing the Broncos to the Rams as what from last year, with Stafford coming to town.
I think yes, Judy will go in the 4th round. I think that's fine. And I was going to say that. So one conversation that seems to happen in the offseason in this space is whether or not you want to not be drafting now or be drafting a lot now. Just, I felt like it was a little bit of a patience versus impulse debate when to draft. And I'm drafting now because it's fun and I like it.
Yeah.
But is it optimal? I'm not sure it is. But, this never too early best ball in FFPC, you're playing within a sort of confined time limit. And the changes in the NFL news cycle matter, and being on top of that. That's what leads to picking Alberto like I did today. It's sort of being on top of that. But I wouldn't want to condescend that anybody does that because you sort of have it built in that that's a good thing to do. So Elijah Moore is going in the 4th round of the drafts I'm in.
So
like
high.
Right now, you'd rather have Jerry Jeudy, but you didn't know that yesterday. If you pick Jerry Jeudy in front of him at 5:02 today, are you an idiot? No. I mean, you're paying. You have the internet, and you thought Elijah Moore was, on a team without a good quarterback, and where there's at least one other guy, if not more, eventually who compete for his targets. And so, yeah, I love him, but I can wait and find someone comparable. Tight end is different. Tight end, you get into the teens, and you can't expect anybody to be that good sometimes.
Yeah. Plus it's tight end premium. I want to say 2 things. Elijah Moore, like Zach Wilson. Like I like Elijah Moore. Zach Wilson was I don't want to say historically, but he was really, really bad last year. Like I was listening to your show today, Mike, and they were talking about like he wasn't just bad because he maybe didn't have the best weapons. He was like bad with some of the worst quarterbacks like of all time. Like he was really bad. So like tying Elijah Moore to him isn't great. Like I feel like we're drafting peak Elijah Moore, like second contract or next quarterback from the Jets, Elijah Moore. And so I'm not doing that. Another thing is when you're drafting now, don't just go into draft, and not just everyone, don't go into draft at just ADP and I'm just going to draft the team. Go in with an imagination. Go in with I think Rodgers is coming to the Broncos, so I'm going to draft this draft or maybe the next 2 or 3 drafts as if that's going to happen. It didn't happen. Russell Wilson came. Great. So all of the people who were using their imagination on that, rookie running backs, rookie receivers, talked about this last week, draft with an imagination that these guys are going to get drafted by the Chiefs or the Bills or whatever awesome offense or position you want to put them in, and go do that. Because if you're not doing that, then don't even draft now, because what's the use? You're not going to get any crazy value on guys unless you're taking guys that can skyrocket and really jump the ship on that value. So I don't know. I feel like, yeah, maybe it's easier to put together a really bad team by doing stuff like that, but you're never going to put a real superstar team together, I don't think, especially in these tournaments, unless you have that imagination and you're taking guys.
Cannot wait until Thursday to talk about the dynasty effects here as well, thinking about the drafts of the last 2 years, the rookie drafts along the lines of what you're saying, but we can't give that away now because that would be stupid. We want to save that until Thursday, until our dynasty show, which will start at 8 Eastern or 8:30 if I get hung up. And thank you, by the way, and everybody for their patience if they were sort of waiting 8 o'clock. So Aaron Rodgers does not get traded to Denver or anywhere. No. I mean, congrats, Devontae Adams players.
Sure.
dynasty players or the early drafters early like us who are picking them, second round, even sometimes mid-second round, maybe. And so, Adam, any reason to think next year Green Bay is not sort of meant to be this year Green Bay or last year Green Bay? I feel like that's the point. They're going to pay Aaron Rodgers everything. They're going to give away their soul. Fine, you'll stay. Adams will stay. We don't care about after that because we never have. Aaron Jones is on the team, and he's somebody who has also not quite to the Ezekiel Elliott level, but slipped in drafts. So I think also advantage drafters who've been picking him.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, kind of go back to what you were saying. It's good for Packers fans, good for the Packers. They made the right decision. I mean, you got to bring Aaron Rodgers back. Jordan Love apparently now might have been the worst first round pick ever. I don't know. Maybe you trade him because he's not going to play the next 3 or 4 years. I mean,
Houston.
I'm sorry,
Houston.
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? It's right. Somebody, yeah, for sure. Seattle. But yeah, so I think that it's good for them. They made the right decision. They've got 2 good running backs. They've got, hopefully Tanyan comes back healthy. They got Devontae Adams. I mean, they could, I think they have a first round pick this year, right? First, second. There's talent on offense out there. Maybe he convinces them to go pick up a receiver or a receiver because they got everything else, a receiver in the draft there or something. Like I feel like you gotta get him over the hump here, and get him to another Super Bowl because he's just so good. But yeah, as far as fantasy is concerned, yeah, everyone who was Adams had slipped to the mid-second. He'll climb right back up, I'm sure. Aaron Jones slipped though too. I mean, he was down at 4-6 in these FFPC drafts, round 4, pick 6, RB 17. Was that? I mean, I don't know. Do you think he was tied to Rodgers' stock that much? Because there's an argument for, hey, if they ended up going with Love or some lesser quarterback, that they would run the ball more, maybe, and there was something there for him. Or is it more, you think, A.J. Dillon? I mean, we'll find out because if he starts rising back up into the second round, we'll find out that he was tied to Rodgers.
Well, there are a lot of interesting second-round running backs. Remember in Pros versus Joes last year, you and I went together, and we were at 112 or rather 212 and 301 and picked Jones there.
Yep.
And so even last year when there was still Dillon, but no Rodgers issue, I'm not sure about that at that time. I think there was there were still people who wanted to go slow on him. There's an instinct to fade running backs when they've been playing for 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
Even with Derrick Henry on a higher level, people who have wanted to stay away. So I think Jones is in the 3rd round easily now because there's that added certainty with Rodgers, but Dillon exists. Dillon took a lot of goal line. He can catch the ball too. And so it's a little bit maybe like Dallas where you have Elliott. It's different in terms of the players themselves, but Elliott is 4th round, maybe even 5th, where you don't think he's good. And Pollard is good, but he's still going to play a little bit, goal line, good offense. Well, it's Jones. Jones is a better player at this point. Maybe he always was than Elliott. But Dillon can play too. He can catch the ball too. The offense is good. You have a little bit of that same math maybe in your head. So everything is value. I'm not picking Aaron Jones I'm not picking him before Devontae Adams tonight. But I think by the middle of the 3rd, certainly late 3rd, you can feel like you're getting a good deal there, which is something. I mean, I'd rather have Aaron Jones right now than David Montgomery.
Sure. Aaron Jones or Gibson?
Gibson is higher for me than most. I've been picking Gibson mid-second, ahead of Chubb, certainly ahead of these guys. I love Gibson. I mean, I feel like the athletic profile has always been there, and I've been putting my money on Washington getting somewhere at quarterback. Now, if that's Mitchell Trubisky, I'm going to strike out. And it isn't going to be Wilson, who they reportedly offered 3 firsts for.
Yeah.
So there's a part of the equation maybe with Washington is the disaster that organization has been and its reputation it would sort of be doubling down on it, if you will, if Watson is in play. But what are their choices beyond him? Like, you have to take Watson and all that baggage, or what exactly? The rookie, the draft pick isn't what they're talking about. Wilson is taken. Rodgers is staying. Are we talking about Derek Carr? I feel like Derek Carr, I bet the Raiders can get big offers for Derek Carr. Then they're going to have to decide if they want to do it at a point in time where Mahomes, Herbert, and Wilson are in their division.
Right.
And they have a new coach and they're in Vegas. I feel like they're going to say no to everything.
Right. I mean, that's a great point. The Derek Carr, there has been whispers of Carr leaving town, but they have a new coach that might want to come in and start over. But yeah, Carr would be a great idea to get rid of, because they're not going to win the division, and I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs in that division. You might as well do that. And listen, I respect Washington for going out and I heard they were just offering the world to every team for their franchise quarterback, which is what you should be doing when you don't have a quarterback. So, but
by the way, how
yes.
humiliating, right? How humiliating. We know that from fantasy,
right?
The guy who just doesn't even care anymore what it costs.
Yes.
He is just going to, what you tell me what you want.
Yeah.
And some of these, imagine the Bills, the Chiefs getting that call, or the Chargers. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to hang up. I'm not talking to you.
Right.
No, it's too embarrassing.
I know. And it's so funny how this is so off the beaten path of fantasy, but it's so funny how teams just, they're destiny, whatever. Like, it's a year you got a top pick and there's no quarterback there that people think is going to be good. It's like the 1 year that you got that top pick, and you know, if I'm Washington, I'm either doing something like that for Carr, or I'm just tanking and hopefully next year we'll get another one. But like, you know, and you can just look at that with every single franchise. I mean, the Chiefs had Alex Smith. They needed a quarterback. They traded up to 12 or 13 with Buffalo and took Patrick Mahomes. Like, but that was a year where there were some good quarterbacks. And so, yeah, it's just interesting. Quarterback is absolutely everything in the NFL these days, and all the players tied to them and all the money they make is totally worth it. But, so yeah, so you're thinking, sorry, I was talking about the run where Aaron Jones. So you love Gibson, yeah. Aaron Jones or Alvin Kamara?
Risk tolerance. They're pretty close, so I might pick Jones. Again, it depends. Who's drafting now? Who's watching us?
That's right.
How many teams per viewer right now? I'm going to say at least 7.
That's
so,
right.
You know, you take who you have less of.
Yeah, no, I get it. So they're in like a same tier to you. I'm just trying to see like how high we think Aaron Jones is going to actually go up, because he's RB 17. Like, to me, he skips Montgomery, he skips Dobbins, although I love Dobbins. I think he's in that Barkley Gibson mix to me. Barkley Gibson mix.
You know what you might want to price in is the possibility of Barkley being traded.
Oh, absolutely.
If he's traded, somebody is putting their chips in on him. And if that happens and he can still play, that's massive. Yeah. That's like top 5, 6.
That's that imagination we're
top
talking
5.
About.
That's right. Like, who's 5? I mean, it's even tough to know that. So if you think Barkley, again, this is for Thursday, but if you think Barkley does get moved, depends on if there's a team that wants to pay a mid-round pick or even a day 3 pick for him. If that happens, the Dolphins or somebody like that, that's pretty hot.
I mean, in redraft, Austin Eckler is the RB3 right now. Say there's a decent scenario. Barkley could beat that in New York with the Giants this year. There's a decent scenario. He could go someplace. Yeah, if someone trades for him, they really want him. He could absolutely beat out Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry. You know, Najee, I do think he's going to have a lot of volume. You know, Javonte Williams, maybe not Mixon or Cook, but yeah, I mean, totally could get up there. So I've been taking a lot of Saquon Barkley, actually.
He needs to get the full package, and he needs to break big plays. That has gone away with Barkley. When he came into the league, and then that one section of 19 where he showed it here and there before that, there is a high end, there's a big upside with Barkley. You know, Taylor showed it a little bit. this year, McCaffrey's different, but there's the 50-yard screen pass and these sort of plays with Barkley. And now you don't know if that's still in there, in terms of Buffalo, because Buffalo's been linked with Barkley. The Bills have Singletary, and I don't want to get you started on him, but that a good play there is 13 yards. There's never the touchdown,
Never.
big play, the home run, the 12-point plus bonus points outcome with many running backs, including him. So Barkley, he's sort of coming to the league as somebody who is capable of that. If he's there, like I think the Giants are really kind of interesting even with Jones, but what they do there. The point was, if you think there's a decent chance he gets traded, which you got to just sort of pay attention all the time and adjust your thinking on that, then I think there's a bigger upside for him than we're showing in these drafts.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like I said, even with the Giants, I think Jones, is the whole Giants coaching staff is brand new and it's coming from Buffalo, and Daboll knows how to call a game. As much as I used to rag on him for certain things here and there, I mean, he's head and shoulders better than Joe Judge and the crew that they had there. Like, if Barkley stays and they've got, Daniel Jones and Tony, and maybe they bring Evan Ingram back because they know how to use a tight end, that offense could be sneaky good, really. And again, that's imagination. Like, well, there's whispers of Daniel Jones leaving. Well, there's whispers, Evan Ingram's a free agent. But listen, I'm going into some of these best balls and with a giant stack in mind, and it's because if they all come back and Daboll is, I think, head and shoulders better than what they had there before, I mean, Evan Ingram didn't even run a seam route ever. Like, he's so athletic and so good. He got hurt a lot, but he's so much better than what the Giants allowed him to be. So, yeah, it's going to be super interesting.
I think what is probably likeliest with the Giants is, because there's so much Bills happening there, is that they sort of middle it this year. Guys they don't like are gone. That's already starting to happen.
Yeah.
And then they're really playing for the future because they're not expecting to win. Although the NFC is different from the AFC, they're not expecting to win big this year. So little moves will happen. I don't know exactly what the cap situation is, but I would expect them to understand you're likely to get 3-4 years here for a GM, 2-3 at least, unless it's a disaster for the coach. So where does that leave? Galladay is one interesting player for the Giants. Like Galladay, again, for Thursday, for Dynasty. This year, like he's round 12, 13 in FFPC. Anyway. Yeah. Where do you want to be right now in this conversation? You signed up for a $2,500 auction league. You tried to shame me into not joining, I think.
I'm actually glad you didn't, because listen, I did. I signed up for a $2,500 auction, took a step up. I love auctions. I've done auctions forever, but I've never done them at like the highest level. Last year, I did a $750 auction live in Vegas FFPC, and I won it. Right. I won it. I went coast to coast. My team was really, really good. And so listen, anytime you're going to let me draft a team where I could pick who I want, that's what I love. Now, auctions are harder with people that because in a serpentine style normal draft, if I'm at 8 and you're at 2, we're not really picking each other off. But in an auction, if I'm playing against my podcast partner who knows my every hope and dream and fear, I don't need him.
Dreams, yes.
That's right. Hopes and dreams. I don't need him picking me or jacking the price up on guys that I love. So it's going to be fun. And I know there are some people in that draft. I know I think there's one spot left. Sign up. Whoever's listening, sign up. Let's get this thing filled. But I know there's at least 2 people in there that watch the show. So, we'll be going back and forth, and hopefully we don't get in each other's way. I'm excited. I mean,
which night is that? Is that the Friday night?
I think isn't it night? I'm going to go look at it right now. It might be Thursday. I'm not sure.
Is Bare Knuckle happening again?
Obviously you'll be taking that down this year. Come on.
You want to talk about your Giant stack?
You got
last year. Last year we got 5th, Daniel Jones, Barkley, Ingram. Come on. How many good weeks was there total? 3? Just come on.
Friday.
Such a bad beat.
Friday, September 9th, 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Friday noon. So Friday noon.
No, 9 a.m., right? Pacific time? Is that what we're on out there?
Yeah, but, noon Eastern, Friday.
Noon East. Well, this is why it's a problem, Mike, is when you have Bills Rams Thursday nighter in LA.
Then it's fine.
It's gonna be an all-nighter. You're gonna have to roll me into this auction after the Bills win on opening night of football.
I have a real job, and that entails my broadcasting to the Buffalo audience from 3 to 7 Eastern weekdays, which meant last year, say Thursday, Dallas-Tampa was the night game. Bare Knuckle was after. Did a main event in the morning, my show, game/party, Bare Knuckle. Friday morning, that's when this is. Didn't Louie and I draft? What did we do Friday morning?
Friday morning, was that where you were you thought you had a live draft, but
Thursday.
you didn't? That was Thursday. Okay.
That's bad. I drafted. Louie and I are drafting from the lobby, thinking we had
from the breakfast buffet table.
I don't remember, but good luck.
Yes, thank you. It's going to be a lot of. Well, funny story. Last year, I plugged in my laptop the night before. No, nobody cares about this stuff. I plugged in my laptop the night before, thought it charged all night, woke up, brought it down there, opened it up, and it's dead. So I had to do the first half an hour of the auction without a computer.
Blind.
I've got it sitting over there. Luckily, it's way easier to do an auction blind than it is a serpentine draft, because I'm just like, I throw out guys that I want, and I take them.
Is it?
So, it ended up working out.
It's easier to do that blind than
way easier. I don't have to. I can just, if someone names off a guy I want, I can just bid on him. If
all the way to the top.
Yes. Yep. So I had it. I didn't have it for like a half an hour, so I probably missed the first. I didn't have my cheat sheet, my Draft Sharks dynamic MVP board for the first half an hour. But
Friday morning last year, Lou and I went to brunch. Some fancy like $40 Bellagio brunch. And I couldn't drink champagne because I was on the air at noon. And then we did a main event that night, which we won. And then flew home at like 4 a.m. the next day.
I'm not doing a 6 a.m. flight again I did it out of Kentucky. I think I did another early one out of Vegas. I'm sleeping in. All right. I deserve it. It's a long week. You know what I mean?
All grown up. Well, we will continue this conversation on Thursday. Yes.
Yes. I want to apologize to everyone. This morning when I was
the whole show.
When I put this podcast out, I was anticipating talking combine winners and losers. So that's what I entitled it. And unfortunately, with all the NFL news today, we had to push that back. We're going to do that Thursday. So check out the Dynasty podcast. I apologize for the false advertising there, but we're going to go even harder on Thursday.
Rookies, Packers, Seahawks, Broncos, Ridley.
Yes.
Combine. There's tons on Thursday. I will make sure to get my rest, so we are good to go on Thursday. I will not wear the same clothes. And you are not on the boat anymore tonight. You are not
on the boat. No lobster rolls. I love lobster rolls, though. So
I'll try to have one on Thursday. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Send us your questions. We are shown right there, Twitter and the Deep End at DeepEndFF1. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Thursday night or next week.
See you guys.